Welcome back to the Sports Machine. You think you have patience? Try 35 years of being traded, hired, and fired by 4 different teams as a player and a manager before finally reaching the World Series. That's how long it took Yankees manager Joe Torre to reach the top of the baseball world. Let's go to Yankee Stadium.
1996. The New York Yankees win the World Series. It's Joe Torre's first year as manager of the Bronx Bombers. 2 years later, his Yankees win 114 regular season games. They sweep the Padres in the World Series. Last year, the Yankees capture their 25th World Championship. They sweep the Atlanta Braves. It's November 1995. Joe Torre becomes the 21st manager under owner George Steinbrenner. His critics said that he wouldn't last, that he didn't have a clue on handling the Yankees and Steinbrenner.
When you took the job and you saw all the bad headlines in New York, did you say to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have taken this?
Never entered my mind. Actually, I was living in Cincinnati at the time, so I didn't read any
You
of
didn't see the papers?
I heard about them. But I knew one thing, and I just finished managing St. Louis, where we were under a great deal of budget constraints, and you can only get so good. Knowing that you're going to work for George Steinbrenner, sure, you heard all the stories, and he makes your life miserable. But one thing he does, he spends the money. So I knew I was going to have an opportunity to fulfill the dream that hadn't come my way my whole career.
For 35 years, he had dreamt of getting to the World Series, but it never happened until he came to the Yankees. Now in his new book, Joe Torre's Ground Rules for Winners, he talks about how he became a winner. How he came up with the old Milwaukee Braves in 1961 as a catcher. How he would make the All-Star team 9 times, only to be traded to the St. Louis Cardinals in 1969. Cardinals manager Red Shandy says Torre practiced every day to become a manager.
Once you get traded, I think you start taking stock of yourself, saying, wait a minute, I don't want to be the guy who clubs want to get rid of. I want to be someone who's going to offer some stability. And Red had to take the brunt of my managerial, aspirations, because he was the manager for me for 6 years in St. Louis. And I'd be managing along with him.
Joe Torre began his managing career with the New York Mets in 1977. He had very little talent to work with. After 5 losing years, he was fired. In 1990, working with a limited budget and ownership that wouldn't spend money, Joe Torre produced 3 winning seasons in 6 years for the Cardinals. But he was fired in '95. He took over as the Yankees manager in the spring of '96. His critics said he had been too soft with the Mets and the Cardinals. Joe Torre was about to silence his critics forever.
Do you think that the Cardinals, the Mets, maybe didn't understand your background, your home life, when they said he's too laid back?
Well, it's the horses for courses situations. You're a player's manager, which is a detriment until you win, and then all of a sudden it's a benefit. It's what it is. I think it was a good fit for me in New York. There's no question. I think my style played well in New York because of all the stuff that goes on. George Steinbrenner, the media, and I think they need a calming influence, as opposed to maybe another ball club may need a kick in the rear end.
It had been 18 years since the Yankees won a World Series when Joe Torre arrived in '96. The Brooklyn native understood the Yankee tradition. Each time Joe Torre walks down the tunnel of this fabled ballpark, he can feel the presence of the legends. Legends like Lou Gehrig, Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra. He grew up admiring them all.
Do you ever look around privately and quietly and say, Maris, Mantle, DiMaggio, Ruth, Gehrig, you're in a stadium of ghosts, so to speak?
There's no question. Last year when Zimmer got hit in Game 1 against Texas, he got hit on the ear. About an inning and a half later, I look over and there's Yogi Berra saying, "He's okay, don't worry about it." I said, "Whoa!" I said, the ghosts are back. There's no question. When I walk from that runway from the clubhouse to the dugout, I know who's walked that path before.
He overcame prostate cancer in the spring of '99. He came back to lead the Yankees to their 25th World Championship. He's 60 years old, loving life. How can things get much better?
You know how it can get better, George, is you do it again. The one thing about it, I thought getting to the World Series for the one time would be enough, and then you go there the second time, and then you want to do it the third time. The third time was more satisfying than the second time, even though we broke all the records.
More than the first time.
No, first time will always be memorable. Watching Charlie Hayes snag that pop-up in the ninth inning against Atlanta, wow, that was really special.
He grew up in Brooklyn, admiring the heroes of Yankee Stadium. In his time, Joe Torre has become a legend in the illustrious history of the New York Yankees.